My name is Arthur Govin. I am the partnership coordinator at the Next Street Driving School. I'm here to present a license testing webinar with guest Jeff Smith, who is the license testing manager. He is here to answer all of our questions. There's a lot of questions going on right now with license testing. We are trying to just clear some things up. You know, there's still COVID restrictions that we're dealing with that we have to continue to let you all know about, as well as our booking, how far we're booking out, everything like that, and as well as just basic, how to be ready for your license test. So I was actually started out as a license testing host, which we'll get into that once I have Jeff on. And he will talk to you about what the process is at the Next Street. So without further ado, I'm going to actually go through something really quick just to show you all what that link does for you. So if you go to the nextstreet.com slash, if I can spell, .com slash testing, that'll bring you to here. So this is our test prep page. We have links to our videos, which is, what to expect on your license test, which is on our YouTube channel. I highly recommend that you go and check that out. And on there, you'll even find all of our other webinars, including this one, which will be uploaded next Tuesday if you miss any of it. So that'll tell you, it'll kind of give you a breakdown of the license test in general and some of the other services that we offer. So that is a link, and it has a lot of information on there. If you click through it, there's a lot of things that you'll be able to find. So just wanted to show you all that. Now I'm going to introduce our guest. Here's Jeff Smith, license testing manager, as I said. Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey everyone, Jeff Smith, like Arthur said, license testing manager here at the Next Street. Love what I do, love to see the students come through our program, and excited to see them pass and get their license. I've been with the company since 2013, and I worked my way up. I started as a licensed driving instructor, and I'm happy to say I still keep my credentials up to date and still get behind the wheel with some students. I absolutely love it, and I'm happy to help out any way I can with people getting their tests or letting them know what to expect.
Awesome. So I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions that we get so that Jeff can break everything down for you. He's going to give you some more information about, everything testing, and then we will open up the floor to questions. So we're going to start off with a pretty basic one. What do you bring to your license test? What do you need to bring?
Absolutely. And really good question, really important question. Whether you're testing with us or at the DMV, you do need to bring closed-toed and heeled shoes. Obviously, it's not good to drive in flip-flops.
Right.
You need to bring $84 with you for the actual 7-year license that you would get right after the test. And again, it's a little bit different between if you test at the DMV and you test with us at the Next Street. You do need corrective lenses. Obviously, that is a restriction on the back of your permit. If you see it, you have to, whether you do normally or not, you do have to drive and take your test with those corrective lenses, glasses or contacts, if it says so on the back of your permit. Specifically with us testing at the Next Street, there is a testing application, the CI-12 form, that we email out to you that you would just need to sign and bring with you. If you're under 18, it does require a parent signature in 2 locations, along with the signature of the applicant. For some reason, they use a different form at the DMV. If you test at the DMV, you do need a R229 testing application that is emailed with you along with the confirmation DMV sends you via email when you sign up to test with them. We take care of, and again, with testing in either place, you do need a Cs1 certificate, which is a yellow note card looking piece of paper very similar to this, that would tell the DMV what you've done with us or with any driving school that would make you eligible to test. So eligibility, again, we can talk about that as well, but you do have to take, at minimum, whether you're 18 or older or under, you would have to take the 8-hour state minimum driving course. This yellow card would show that you've done that, and you have to bring that to the test at the DMV, or we will provide that for you if you test at the next street. We talked about the $84. If you test with us at the next street, again, we do not, that's a DMV fee of for the 7-year license that you would have to bring a check for with you to the test, made out to the DMV. It has to be check or money order in order to then
Get your license that day.
get your license.
That makes sense. So just a quick, brief breakdown. So that was corrective lenses if you need it. $84 check for the DMV to get your license that day.
Yes.
CI-12 form, and then that's the testing application, and then closed-toed shoes, obviously. Yeah, don't come in your flip-flops.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Well, just to, again, since we're on the topic, I know I went back and forth a lot with, at the DMV with us kind of thing, but if you are testing with us, something that is pretty new these last few months, DMV will actually give you a sheet once you pass that'll, in coordination with your permit, act as a temporary license.
So you could drive off that day.
Exactly. I'm probably getting ahead of some of the questions that we have.
No. That's fine. Yeah.
Really exciting, and it's funny saying that it's exciting because seeing what it used to be.
I remember. Yeah.
So,
where you have to wait, multiple days, and then sometimes they still wouldn't even have it processed. But now the DMV has finally stepped into the 21st century and is doing some things digitally, which is nice.
You have to go to the specific DMV.
Yeah, right.
So we do recycle your picture, or DMV does rather.
Sure.
We send off the test results and the $84 check. It gets sent to the DMV. They start processing immediately. We have a third party. As Connecticut, we have a third party that prints the actual licenses, and all you parents out there know this because that's how we do it renewing as well.
Right.
So with that paper, again, this is the pink sheet that you would get when you pass your test. With this and your permit, you would have a 30-day temporary license, and then in the mail, the student would get their actual license.
And they usually get that within like 2 weeks, right?
Usually takes 14 to 20 days. Just to be safe, DMV, it would give you a temporary license, or with that paper allow you to drive on your own for 30 days before requiring that physical real license.
Okay. Okay, so we know what we need to bring. Maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves. Where do we even sign up?
You can absolutely sign up online. A lot of what we do, again, our websites are very user-friendly, very easy to access and understand. You purchase the test with us. If for some reason,
it's not like the permit test that you have to do at the DMV. You book everything. If you test at our location, you book everything through us, and then we take care of all of the other stuff. So, yeah, that's a really important thing.
Yeah, we take, like you just said, we take care of most everything. There's that application that you do have to fill out and bring with you. But we do, and let there be no mistake, though, as much as we wish we could administer the test, the DMV actually has a separate department for these kind of satellite tests at all driving schools across Connecticut, or all the ones that are eligible for this program, can have a DMV agent come out to their location. So we coordinate with the DMV and get these agents out there who actually administer the test. But we are able to schedule it, help you with the paperwork, get everything involved and ready to go that needs to be done. And then all you have to do is show up. It's a 15-minute appointment that we have for you. We ask you to come 15 minutes early, simply to sign in, talk about what the test has been like, and then, of course, get you out in the car, done and over with, as soon as possible.
Right, and what you were just saying, coming 15 minutes early, That's actually so. I actually started. Jeff hired me, and I started as a testing host, which is basically you come in and there's a friendly face there at the next street to talk to you before you take your license test, walk you through, what's going on the test and kind of what to expect, and just ease your nerves. And I'll tell you right now, there's no one at the DMV that's going to ease your nerves when you go and test there. So it's definitely a really nice bonus. And when you're already nervous, going to the if you go to our place, you don't have to wait nearly as long. Your appointment is, again, you come 15 minutes early and then you take your road test at that mark. It's not like at the DMV where they make you come 40 minutes early and you don't take it for 2 hours. So that is really nice, because when you're sitting there stewing, kind of being in your nerves, it just makes everything a lot worse. So that is how I started, and I was there to talk everyone down. I still remember what I used to say all the time. It's like an earworm, and I can hear myself. It's funny when I'm talking to other people, just about anything, when I'm calming anyone down, I like go right back into that mode. And I'm almost having to stop myself from being like, okay, and don't forget the parking brake, and it's like,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, it's definitely it's a good thing to have on that day, just someone who's on your side talking.
absolutely.
Okay, so you're at the test, you've booked it, you have everything you need. How long is the test?
Again, it's typically about 15 minutes. It can be a little bit less. It can be a little bit more. It is entirely up to the DMV agent that we have at the time, but they usually stick to the more or less the 15-minute mark.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. So 15 minutes, you hop right back into the car, or the next person goes and you hop into the car. Again, with the paperwork already being taken care of a lot of the time at our location, whereas at the DMV, when you go, they test you, and then they leave that car, come inside, fill out all the paperwork, then they have to talk to so it's a whole process, whereas us, it's a lot faster moving, and again, it just gives you less time to think about it. So that is always a nice thing. So okay, you've taken it. What do you expect actually in the car on your test? You're in the car, you've made it. What's going on?
Well, let me paint a little bit of a picture, if I may.
Yeah, please.
So we get, again, you walk in, you check in, we talk to you, we covered all that, right? You get all we sign you in, you have all the right documents, paperwork, everything's all set. You bring that paperwork out with you when the next student gets out of the car. We are still very much cleaning out these cars, following COVID procedures and protocols that we've put in place to make it as safe as possible. Everybody's wearing masks and gloves, of course. We will continue to do that for quite some time. But we get out there as the host at the location. We would wipe down the car, again, with gloves, making sure everybody has the latex or vinyl gloves, and then have it be as clean as possible. You get in the car, you hand over the permit and some of the paperwork to the DMV agent. As they're just checking you in, doing what they have to do, you get in the car, seat, mirror, seatbelt, right? In that order, typically, is what we like to see, and have you adjust. That's the first part of the test evaluation sheet that you'd want to just make sure that, I'm sorry, it's the second part. The first part is test vehicle, which is going to pass. You already passed the first out of 4 categories in that evaluation sheet, because
Just by testing with us.
Just by testing with us, we're guaranteed to pass the vehicle inspection, right? So for 1 out of 4, you're good and golden. The second is getting ready to drive, and that is seat, mirror, seatbelt, and other. So obviously, you just have to adjust the seat of where your head's going to be as you drive, and then of course the mirrors go with that, and then obviously your seatbelt's going on. These DMV agents are not there to trick you. We've all heard the horror stories that come out of the DMV branches. I'm happy to say we don't see that nearly at all when we get these DMV agents in this particular unit coming out to these driving schools, our satellite locations. So they will have the seatbelt on as well. You obviously have to check and make sure. It's your responsibility as the driver to make sure everybody has their seatbelt on before you get going. Uh, they'll check over your permit. Once that's good, you're golden and good to go on the road test. And I'll just dive right into what the road test is like. Although I do have to say that there is really no standard for the road test.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, never say never. There's never going, you could be asked to go on the highway. You could be asked to do parallel parking. We certainly do see a back end maneuver on the test. That's usually an absolute. We sometimes see K turns. So you do have to be really ready for everything. 40 hours under your belt at the very least. You should be going over all of these things to where you are an expert. There's no reason to get to your test without having practiced these things as long as it took to master them.
Right.
So that's a huge suggestion that I have for you. Not only my number one suggestion is obviously to drive around the location that you plan to test at prior to that day.
Yeah, learn the lights, learn the streets, learn the turns, all that stuff.
Just get
the
familiar
parking
with
lots.
locations. Yeah, yield signs, railroad crossings, things like that. Heavy traffic intersections.
And we're never gonna get mad at you for driving through our parking lot. So if you wanna just exiting onto the road from our parking lot is a good thing to practice sometimes. And just to bring it back really quick to the DMV agents, it's I always used to say just think like they don't have to be in the DMV all day, so they're definitely in a better mood than so that you can hope for that most of the time. But keep going. Sorry, I cut you off a little bit.
No, well, again, you got it. Just get familiar with the area. We even have practice routes that we would love to email you and give you with just to have you go around in a circle, clockwise, counterclockwise, different directions. Just getting familiar with the area. If you're familiar, and again, those yield signs don't pop out at you and maybe throw you off a little bit. It's just one of the smartest things you could do is actually even before the day of the test, just get familiar with it. Make sure you've gone there at least once or twice. It goes a very, very long way. Again, the other thing is, just like I was saying before, make sure that you have practiced in length as much as you need to make sure you nail the back ends, all of them.
Yeah, the back ends are that's what everyone gets nervous about. But that is, if you practice it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and like any instrument, practice makes perfect. And again, a lot of our teens out there have the ability to just, maybe they have to get on their parents' case to just say, like, I need this practice. Let's go out. Going to school and back, going to the grocery store and back that's going to get old really fast.
100%.
So let's, go on new roads. Let's go in different areas. Where can I, legally take you, just the one person, because you're still on the permit rules, but you would just have to really want to explore and make the most of the time you have behind the wheel, learning and mastering it before you take your test.
So we just had a couple things I wanted to a couple comments I just wanted to address. So someone asked, Evelyn asked, so I am clear that we can learn to drive with you and be tested by you as well. So you're not tested by us, you're tested still by the DMV agent, but they come to our location. So you're not having to go to the DMV to take your test, which is an advantage. You get to use our car. Again, you'll have someone there before the test to talk to you and kind of calm your nerves before you go out and take your test. So that's really the difference. We're not. It's still a DMV agent that comes out and tests you, but yes, you can test at our locations, which is also sometimes more convenient for a lot of people because of our numerous locations and areas that you can take it.
So yeah, again, let's just bullet point this right now. Like, why would you want to test with us instead of at the DMV?
Yeah.
Right. Well, again, we have about 6 or 7 cars in our fleet, but it's a very similar car. Likely that you'll be in for the license.
Yeah.
So you've been a similar car that you're familiar with. You're familiar with you can pick any. We have 20 active satellite locations that you can test at. Pick anyone that you've taken the drives from for your behind the wheel lessons at. So you're already familiar with the location. The atmosphere is that much better when you walk into a DMV. Again, they do give credit where credit's due. The appointments at the DMV are better than what it used to be. It used to be a jungle in there.
Right.
But again, this is a one-on-one. You come at your appointment time. You sit down with a expert at testing, and this is where it really comes in. Is that this is the person who has seen 6 or 7 students test before you. Again, I can't say that the test is going to be identical to each and every student, but they've seen what the DMV agent has been asking of students that day and can relate that to you.
Right.
Whether they have been asking for K-turns, where they may be going, what parking lot they've been used to, what has been the trend so far today, what has caused problems for other students to watch out for today, if any. So all of that knowledge you would never get or see or be, laughed out of the DMV if you asked for.
Totally.
Here, we openly give it to you as part of that 15 minutes when you come in early. Hey, I'm still really nervous about my back end. Okay, well, let me help you through it. Can you talk me through some of the steps? That's exactly what we're looking for. You're ready to take your test. It's going to be as easy as what you just described to me.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple other questions. Let's see. Just before I keep asking, I want to answer some of these. So this one came in. Do you need a permit to start your 8-hour course? You don't need a permit to start your classroom education, but to do any lessons, you'll need your permit. So we always recommend, the day you turn 16, schedule your permit test for the day you turn 16, get your permit, and then have it for when you start to do driver's ed. But theoretically, you can start your 8-hour course or any in classroom training, but obviously for behind the wheels, you will need your permit.
Arthur, you bring up a really good point. It is eligibility can be kind of confusing.
Yes.
If you get your permit, if you're wanting to drive, it's best if you get your permit as close to your 16th birthday as possible, simply because the clock starts ticking. There's just certain things along the way that you can do to shorten that eligibility time, but the time is counted from the day you get your permit. And of course, you can't sign up for classes before you're 16, but the moment you turn 16, try and get your permit as soon as possible. But you can also take, like you just said, Arthur, the classes without the permit.
Right. And just to kind of finish off that point about eligibility, if you take the 8-hour class, it's 180 days. You're eligible to take your license test 180 days after you get your permit, and then if you do the full 30-hour course, you are eligible 120 days. Do I have that right?
Yes, for 16 and 17-year-olds, yes.
Yes, exactly, for 16 and 17. Okay, so a couple other ones. How long are behind the wheel lessons? Those are 2 hours. Let's see.
Legally, we can't do it anymore. So
right, it has to be
2 hours a day.
Let's see. Okay, how do you work with individuals who have their permit but have no driving experience? I would recommend you. Both of us have also done driving instructing, so we do have experience with getting behind the wheel with students. And biggest recommendation with that is at least familiarize yourself with a car and with how it works with your parent. I always say do a little bit of driving with your parent before you come and take lessons with us, so that we can give you a lot more. Because if you come with some experience, then we are able to get more technical and tell you not only for your test what they're going to be expecting, but everything where, for life, good ways to drive, good habits to pick up. So if you have some experience before you take your lessons with us, that is always recommended. But if you can't, we will teach you we'll teach you where the gas and the brake are if we have to. We'll start from scratch. But it's definitely important to come to us and take some professional driving lessons, because for many reasons, but a big one is simply for your test, it's good to know what the DMV is expecting, because your parents took their tests a long time ago. The tests have changed, and it's good to at the very least get some knowledge before you come on.
Yeah, absolutely. We do. We and again, huge empty parking lots. Movie theaters, sadly enough, are pretty big.
Yeah,
Empty
pretty
parking
empty,
lots
right? Yeah,
that
that's a
you
good
can
point.
absolutely start off in just to get the fuel for the gas pedal. If parents, you're out there and you're just really nervous, you just got a brand new Lexus or something like that, it's not going to be where we can certainly drive with the student at being the very first time behind the wheel. It's happened to
Yeah,
all of us out there. We
of
would be more
course.
than happy to do that. We do want you to get the most for your money. So we do the more experience, especially in between the lessons that you have. If you have multiple lessons, the more that you can practice for what we've taught that lesson, the less we'd have to review. If we move on to bigger and harder driving maneuvers and driving locations with that. If it's, again, hey, you're the driving school. I want you to teach where the gas and brake pedal is. Like, absolutely, we'll do that and help the student build their confidence. Just again, make sure that you are getting out soon after each lesson to practice exactly what we have gone over to get the most bang for your buck.
100%. I always equate it to baseball, where it's like, we could teach you how to swing, but you have to practice in order to get good at it. So, okay, we have a couple more. These are more test related. So, what are some errors that lead to failure?
Well, I got the top three off the top of my head. The from day one, we're told, don't go too fast, right? This is, and actually, that's not true. Some parents out there, we hear like, oh, 5 over is okay, 10 over is okay.
Right.
That is obviously breaking the law, right? The speed limit shows the maximum speed and ideal conditions that you can travel at. So obviously, going over that at all is breaking the law, and that's exactly what we teach, because that's the rule.
Right.
What we see on students is sometimes they go too slow also, which can be equally as dangerous and equally just as much of a reason why somebody would have to come back to us for a second test. They DMV agent, again, a 15-minute window to actually see if someone can drive by themselves I don't envy the DMV agent's job. It's a very tough job. And with that, they have to make sure that you're seeing the right speed limit signs, that you're adjusting to conditions. If traffic and weather is no concern at all, if it is ideal conditions, then you should be right up at the speed limit or one or two below. You should be able to build the muscle memory and have the reaction to adjust your speed after 40 hours of driving behind your belt. Again, the 40 hours is the state minimum, is what they say for anybody to have under their belt before they attempt the test. So with that, you've built up this muscle memory, you've built up this reaction time. You should be able to keep right at the speed limit. If you're going 20 and a 25, first of all, 25, again, we all want to go at least 25 and a 25.
Right.
But you do want to make sure, like the DMV agent, you're going slower, you're trying to be safe, cautious. If that's your excuse, it's where the DMV agent thought you didn't see the speed limit sign that changed to 25. So you have to be scanning ahead for those kind of things and adjust your speed accordingly. Like I said, as long as adverse conditions and traffic isn't causing you to slow down or increase your following distance.
Right.
So those are all things that we sometimes hear about. I'm happy to tell that I hear about those things much less, but going too fast and too slow is still a reason we get some people with X's on their evaluation sheet. The other one is rolling through stop signs or right on reds. So both of those, again, too many times are students thinking way too far ahead, like 3 or 4 steps ahead, where they really have to remember the basics. And so with right on red, a student, again, so many times is the third in line to a red light. All 3 cars ahead of them, 2 cars, 3 cars ahead of them, are rolling through that right on red.
Drive right through, basically.
I'm sure they're checking. I'm sure they're looking to make sure it's safe, but they're not stopping. The student gets caught up in the momentum. Again, solid red light, and still rolls right through that foot-thick stop line and fails the test instantly. That's an easy one for the DMV agent. And it's where We teach you how to do the right on reds correctly, but again, what you see so much out on the road, even when you're practicing, is that people are rolling through those, and you absolutely cannot. Same thing with stop signs. Stop signs are a solid 3 count at 0 miles an hour before that foot thick white line. And and again, thinking too far ahead, catching it at the last moment, you really do. If it comes down to a comfortable stop or slamming on the brake before that white line, you would want to slam on the brake before that white line, just to show that, again, you know where the car's supposed to be. You know that you'll have to wait that 3 count and then continue if it's your turn or if it's safe to do so. So that's another, those two combined again are another reason why students, again, whether we teach them, and again, I don't want to blame what they see at home, but a lot of the times what we see is that the
Yeah.
parents are rolling through these stop signs, rolling through these right on reds. It's where we have to uphold that, again, by law. It's full stop 0 miles an hour at a right on red or a stop sign. So those, even though you learn stop at stop signs on day one, it's very easy to just either go with the flow or what you've seen, or again, think too far ahead where you're forgetting the basics. The first number one thing, and again, the other two are a little bit less frequently seen, which again, I'm happy about. This next one is navigating intersections, really specifically turning left at intersections. And again, there's a window there where you have to go, and it can be tricky to gauge that based on oncoming traffic. If you have a solid green arrow, then you don't hesitate. You obviously scan the intersection, but you don't hesitate. You go when it's your lane, your direction, with that arrow giving you the right of way. If that turns to a solid green, or even if you just start with a solid green and you're in the left lane turning left, blinker, and then of course wait your turn. You have oncoming traffic. A solid green means oncoming traffic has that same green, and vehicles going straight have the right of way. Turning left, blocking the box. Again, every student out there, if they're listening, knows what blocking the box is. It's when you roll out and stop in the middle of the intersection. That's what makes it illegal. We want to teach anticipation and rolling out at the time that you see that last car in line, plenty of space behind them, be in the middle of the intersection with that green light still on where you have to be to make that left-hand turn. If you roll out into the intersection and stop with no hope or no gap in sight on oncoming traffic, that is what's illegal. So if you simply get that solid green light and it's a bumper to bumper traffic, you are not rolling out into that intersection, and you are staying behind that white line until you see a gap and to where you can then take that turn. If DMV ever has to either pull the wheel or hit the brake, because our passenger sides have brakes in our instructing cars, vehicles, then again, the test is going to be over. So you really do have to just, again, experience 100 intersections. If you're not good at that, experience 1,000 intersections. Really get to where you are mastering these, what it's like to make that left-hand turn, navigate intersections with the green arrows, know who has the right of way when, make sure that you're stopping fully if you intend to turn right on red, if there's no signs indicating otherwise, things like that. But intersections specifically, I would say, is the number one reason we see students come back. I would like to add a fourth one to that list, which would be the back end.
Yes.
Which I'm sorry, and I hate to say it, but students still either freeze or haven't practiced the back end enough. No matter which one it is, parallel parking, left or right back end, you need to practice all of them in order to make sure you can pass your test with flying colors. You don't know what is going to be asked of you. We do see at some DMV branches parallel parking and highway driving asked of much more than what we see at our satellite locations, but it still can happen. So with that, backup cameras, can you use that? Well, that's a popular question that we hear a lot of the times. Backup cameras are mandatory now on all base model cars that are coming out. So it is considered a safety feature, and we want you to use it. You cannot stare at it. DMV wants you to look in the direction the car is moving, which means over your right shoulder when in reverse. If it's reverse for a K-turn, 3-point turn, then you're looking out the back window. You can obviously reference the backup camera just to make sure you don't hit the curb. Same exact thing with the back end. We teach you how to look out the back window, reference your mirrors, and then, of course, at the very end, reference the backup camera in order to make sure you don't hit the guardrail or go over the white line behind you. These are all things that, again, we teach you and that you really should be able to continue practicing and find time for at home to make sure with confidence. If you're confident you've gotten 40, 50, 60 hours behind the wheel, you'll pass your test with flying colors. They're really, again, the DMV agents don't want to see you to fail. They're not out there to trick you. So if you're able to master what we are able to teach you in a driving lesson, especially the 30-hour course with the 8 hours of behind the wheel instruction, you'll do fine. It's really just where you have to make sure that you practice what we teach in between those lessons.
That is great. So just a bullet point of the biggest reasons why students fail. We have speed, so either going too fast, too slow, rolling through stop signs and going right on red without fully stopping, and then navigating intersections, so left turns, blocking the box. So make sure, and then again, you said at the end with parking maneuvers, make sure you're practicing those parking maneuvers. But when it comes to being on the road, those are the things that kind of separate whether they know you're a safe driver and they feel comfortable giving your license or not. And that's how you have to think of it. Would you give you your license? And you also have to think about that. If you're a parent and you're bringing your kid out on a driving lesson with them, do you feel safe with them behind the wheel? Are you 100% confident in them? Because it's not just about, can they pass their road test, but you also have to think, they're going to be driving alone at some point, and so you have to make sure that you feel comfortable with them. So let's see. We have a few questions. Actually, one really quick thing before we answer questions and completely open up the floor, even though we have been answering them as we go. What is availability looking like right now at the Next Street for testing, for license testing?
Very good question, and it fluctuates. We get as many tests as we can. I'm in constant communication with DMV. This particular unit that we're able to get these tests from to have DMV agents come out to our satellite brick and mortars. We are we're booking out quite far. We have end of July. There should be still a handful, half dozen tests that you can find locations for. So I won't say the middle of July much anymore, but the end of July and then August and September we do have open at the moment. We do not have the fourth quarter yet. October, November, December is not yet scheduled. But if you have your permit and you're over 16, we'd love for you to test with us, but with whatever you decide to do, book your test as soon as you can. After eligibility, of course. And we will help work with you on that. If you're eligible and you want to test with us, you find one for next week, you probably can't get and this is true for all driving schools across the state, you do need a driving lesson with that driving school in order to use our vehicle for any one of our tests. So in order to get that, again, in order to get that test and eligible to use our vehicle, if that's what you decide to do, again, even though you see an opening for next week, we may not be able to get you a behind the wheel lesson right away. Those are booking out, again, just as far as our tests. So sign up early. Even if you're going through the classes now, please sign up for what you can find with our drives, both our drives and our tests.
Okay. So that's great. And
then,
so,
and again, that availability, I don't imagine is going to last too long. I'm surprised it's lasted as long as we have. We entered in tests for quarter 3 a few weeks ago. And again, we're expecting more. We're really hoping that the DMV can supply us with a lot more dates in order that they have the personnel, these DMV agents, to go out and do these tests. So I'm very optimistic, but again, do yourself a favor and not wait until after you finish the class.
Yeah. Sign up for your test, book your test when you sign up.
Yes.
That's it. And then by the time you're done, you'll be able to take your test easy.
Yeah. One more thing, Arthur, I don't think I've mentioned this yet. I talked about different testing products. For whatever reason, the DMV has an age restriction on what you can do at a driving school. So, as far as taking the test at a driving school. So, if you are 21 and younger, between 16 and 21, you can take the test with us, like we've been describing most this whole time.
Yeah.
If you are 22 and older, and again, I don't know why, I've tried to get an answer to why this age restriction is
Yeah.
happens or is in place. But if you're 22 and older, you have to take your test at the DMV. We do have the option for you to use our car. We can meet you at the DMV. Again, a car that is guaranteed to pass inspection. So you can use our car to test in. So that is an option if that is what you wanted to do. Just like I mentioned a minute ago, you would have to also still take a test with us, driving lesson with us prior to that test.
Right.
And that's true for any drive. That's not just a TNS Next Street thing. That's just the way it is with all driving schools.
So we have a couple. Let's go through some of these questions. So, when will appointments be opened up for October? Do you have any idea?
That's a great question.
Okay.
It's on the border of me sending almost too many emails. I don't want to flood this unit, the lovely woman that I work with. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm really hoping maybe it's hard to say. I can't. Hopefully by May. It's
Okay.
really tough to say.
But in the summer, we should have
Yes.
appointments available in October.
I am with what we have now in Q3, July, August, and September. I'm hoping to add a lot more to those months. Obviously, that doesn't mean much if you're not eligible at that time.
Sure.
But we will obviously put emails out, mass customer communication with what we have when we get Q4. I'm really sorry. If it was up to me, I would schedule it now if I could. But I'm really hoping by May we would have those Q4, hopefully early May. Okay. But please don't quote me on that.
No, I understand.
Got to work with what the DMV can give me, and in the case of the supply of these kind of tests.
Somebody asked about, can you share where we can get those driving routes you mentioned previously? I do not live in the town that I will be taking the test. That's what the person said.
Yeah, if you want to put, we can certainly email you directly. It should be where you get if you purchase the test with us, depending on the location and the brick and mortar that you bought it from or purchased the test out of, it should be part of an automated email.
So check your emails. Make sure that wherever you signed up, there should be an email. Check from the Next Street, and then you should be able to find where there are some routes to practice. Again, they're for practice. We don't know 100% that they're going to be on your test, but it's definitely they're good baselines to familiarize yourself with the area for sure.
Exactly. They're not testing routes. Please do not think of them that way. It's just to familiarize yourself with the area. It's a 15-minute test. So if you would think a 7-minute radius from where you start would be what you can drive, and that's really true. But then you also have the parking maneuver, the back in, so that takes a few minutes. So it's really just, you're not going to go very far from the location. So it's whether we highlight it for you in one of these practice routes is one thing, but you could, as long as you're exploring the area, doing a few zigzags in and out of, the suburbs or the blocks that are around that location, it's likely you'll see most of that again on your exact test. Right?
Sure. I had one question. Let's see if I read it, I can understand a little bit. Okay, so are the driving lessons private? Yes, it's just you and the instructor. It always has been that way with us, but especially with COVID, we're taking every precaution that we can. And then they get 2 hours of driving or are actually behind the wheel for a part of the 2 hours. So I'm thinking that what you're asking is the whole 2 hours behind the wheel or not? And yes, that when you take a behind the wheel lesson, the full 2 hours are all behind the wheel. Maybe a few minutes of walking around the car doing your pre-trip inspection, just kind of, if it's your first lesson, getting you familiarized with everything. But yes, mo, for the 2 hours, you will be actually either doing maneuvers or driving. So yeah, that for behind the wheel lessons. And then one thing from Michael, can you just give a quick bullet point? He just asked, can you repeat all the documentation you need for your license testing? Just everything for your license test.
Yeah, absolutely. Closed-toed and heeled shoes. Absolutely. Contacts or glasses if you need them. $84 check made out to the DMV, cash, or not, I'm sorry, not cash. Check or money order made out to the DMV. If you're with us, it's a CI12 testing application that we mail out to you. And then if it's at the DMV, it's an R229 testing application, which they email with you with the confirmation of your test at the DMV.
Yes. And if you test with us, we also send you emails beforehand when your test is coming up and give you reminders for everything you need. And again, we mail out the form that you need to fill out that you have to bring along. So we provide you with pretty much everything. It's just then on you to remember to just bring the things. But there will always be reminders for what to bring.
Yes, and if you are testing at the DMV, again, you do need that CS1 certificate.
So which we also provide that. Yes.
Yeah. If you come to test with us, we provide you with almost everything. Even if you forget the application, you can fill one out there when you get there. It's easier and faster if you fill one out at home with it doesn't ask for your social security number and things like that. So with all that information on it, it's easier to fill out at home. We will provide everything for you, but you do have to bring that $84 check or money order. And then again, at the DMV, you have to bring the CS1, the testing application, and then of course, whatever vehicle you bring with you to use at the DMV, it has to have proper insurance and up-to-date registration, and of course, pass the vehicle inspection.
Okay, so are there any other questions? I think I've gotten to pretty much everything on the comments. So if anyone has any other questions or I just didn't see your comment, please put it in, and we would be happy in these last 10 minutes to go over any other questions that you had. Again, it's just a little breakdown. Jeff, if in this time while people are getting their questions together, if you want to just give us kind of the 60-second rundown of what it is to test at the next street and, what to expect and what you need. So again, I know that's a lot of stuff, but whatever you can put in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, you sign up with us online. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You find a location that's easy, close to you. Online, we'll send you the application that you can print out, fill out. You come with your glasses, contacts if necessary. Check for $84, sneakers, and then of course your testing application will provide you everything else. You get there 15 minutes before your appointment, ask any questions that you're concerned about with the test, any worries that you may have. We'll do our best to calm your nerves, which again, the best experienced driver, the more experienced you are, the less nerves you have. But again, it's a pressure-filled 15-minute test that we can get you in the right mindset for if needed. We'll go out, we'll clean the car out for you, we'll get you in. Everything will be set up for you to get going with the DMV agent. Seat mirror, seatbelt. Don't forget the emergency brake, the parking brake. I'm sorry, I should use those terms interchangeably, but it is a parking brake that has to be engaged whenever the car is in park. Definitely use that and make sure, obviously, it disengages. You're looking over the dashboard to make sure none of the yellow or red lights are on. That brake light is always going to be on when you get in one of our cars because that means the parking brake is engaged. Back out, pull out safely, go out onto the street, go down to a parking lot, do a back in, come back, pull into the space that you get there for is typically what we see for the test, and then that's it. You're in a, your headspace is in the right atmosphere when you walk into the location with us, and it's just as easy as that. It's I don't know what else to
Yeah.
say.
No, yeah, that I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Um yeah, and again, when you pass your test, you go you can get your temporary license that day. But I did have one question.
Such a win.
If
Yeah.
if you somehow don't pass your test, something happened, the nerves got to you, you just had a bad day, what is the process from there?
No matter where if a retest is in your future, no matter if you've taken it with us, another driving school, or DMV, you state mandated has to wait 14 days before being able to attempt the test again. So the DMV is going to want a $40 fee for that. We reduce our testing fee to cover that cost. So we will help you if you fail. If heaven forbid, again, you have to come back to us or would like to come back to us for a retest. We actually give you someone's particular phone number that can help you out immediately with as soon of a test date that we can find in the location that would work with you for that. So we try to take care of absolutely everyone. We understand that having failed a test is emotionally very stressful and taxing, and we want to help with what we can to reschedule the test as soon as possible if that were to happen.
All right.
But there's nothing we can do about that 2 weeks. That's
Right.
at least minimum.
It's just the minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna. All right, let's do some rapid fires. Okay, we got. Sorry. Okay, you mentioned if you take your full course, you can take your license test having your permit for 120 days. Is that the day you get your permit? Is the day you get your permit equal to the day, or do you start continuing the next day or counting the next day? It is from the day you get your permit.
Let's be very specific. This is incredibly confusing, and I'm sorry if I'm about to rattle some people's brains right now. If you do a lot of date calculators, if you put in the date that, hey, I got it today, the date calculator doesn't start calculating until tomorrow as day number 1.
Yes.
If that is the case, then you can test on day 120. If you actually count the day that you got issued your permit, you'll have to wait until day 121 to test and to be the day that you can test. So I'm so sorry, it's confusing. If you count the day you got your permit as the issue date, as day number 1, it's 121 days. On the 121st day, you can take your test.
Yes, so you need to have had it for 120 days. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's very confusing. But
okay. Yeah. Janelle asked, when do you need to take the vision test? That's when you get your permit. So you don't have to worry about that for when you take your road test. You'll already have taken your vision test. Mm-hmm.
There is no, again, if you were going through this and just your friends haven't told you about it or anything, what to expect on the test, there is no more. Again, when I took my driver's test, there was a 100-question quiz you had to take before getting out on the road with the DMV. Yeah, that's no longer the case. This is strictly the road test that you will come sign in with us for. We'll just sign you in, check with you, talk to you for a little bit, and then you get out in the car with the DMV agent. There's no quizzes, no questions. The DMV agent, even in the car, will not ask you any questions, more or less just give you directions on where to go. Obviously, again, that quick story about the parking brake, even though we teach it in class and talk about it during the lessons and have you actively use it during the lessons, a lot of the times it's not used at home. And again, if you start backing out, pulling out of that space, you're going to hear the dinging of the car. And the DMV agent at that time might be like, what's that noise?
Yeah, what's going on? Right.
No, it's not my seatbelt. they can't tell you what things are or what, they're expecting you to know how to change the mirrors, how to change, move around the seat, how to shift gears, obviously, and of course, what it means if the car is, you know, you know, dragging because the brake is on, and what that beeping means in that car. We've had students just completely ignore that, and I don't know why. And when they
Yeah.
leave the parking lot, it's okay. Your test is over. Let's turn around.
Yeah.
So again, just uh, be be aware of everything. They're not going to ask you any questions unless it's something like that. Like, what's that noise? Is that something that you're doing? Do you have to take care of that? But it's really just where there's no knowledge questions or quizzes anywhere along the road test portion of your test to get your license finally.
Um. Okay. If you fail your road test when using an X-ray car, even if it was a small mistake, do you have to pay again? Um, so yes, you would have to, when you re-sign up, you would have to pay the DMV fee again.
Yes.
If you want to just explain that quickly, Jeff.
Yeah. Again, just going over that evaluation sheet I touched on earlier. First section is getting ready to drive, or no, test vehicle. Sorry. The second one is getting ready to drive. So that's seat mirror, seatbelt, other. The second section is basic driving skills. The third section is critical driving skills. So you can get 2 strikes in any of those categories and still pass your test, except the critical driving skills. If you get 1 strike in critical driving skills, the test is over and you'll have to come back for another one. If you add up to 3 strikes along that entire page, the evaluation sheet, again, 3 strikes and you're out. So it's either 3 strikes on the whole page or just 1 strike in that critical driving section, which has to do with, I can't recall the list of things that I had. The terms that they use in that critical driving section are very vague. So the DMV agent is interpreting whether, hey, did you misinterpret my directions, or did you not understand what I said, kind of thing. It's where if you're backing in or back of posture, they can, if it's a little mistake, they can find a way to put it in the basic driving skills. If it's a really big critical mistake, like pulling out into traffic or cutting off cars or rolling through stop signs, then again, they're going to fit that into the critical driving skill where it only takes 1 strike.
Right.
So you can make a little mistake and still pass, right? There is
Yeah.
that wiggle room for, again, and not to be a perfect 100%, but let's hope it's a small mistake.
Yeah. If you forget a signal once, you'll be okay.
Exactly.
But you know, just make sure that you're doing all the basics right. How do you go about renewing your permit? Unfortunately, if your permit expires, if you don't get your license before, your permit is supposed to be a temporary thing. And then if it does expire, you do have to kind of start the whole process over again. Take your permit test at the DMV, which is another question that we got. Can I take my permit test with you or at the DMV? So you have to, that's the one thing that we can't do is the permit test. You have to go to the DMV and book it through the DMV website in order to get your permit test. And I would also recommend for anyone who hasn't gotten their permit yet, check out on our Facebook and our YouTube, check out our new driver webinar, which is hosted by me. And I go over all the basics of driver's ed and what you need to do, what you need to be looking for. And so I go over all of that. So if you don't have your permit yet, then I would definitely suggest checking that out. And it should answer pretty much any question that you have about that.
So if you got your permit before, all the steps that you have to bring with you to the DMV, all the identification and proof of residency, that you would not have to repeat the second time. They have your permit number, and that permit number will stay with you onto your second permit. You will have to retake the knowledge test is the only thing that you have to do over again.
Right.
And actually, Arthur, I'm glad we brought this up. As of March 31st, there are no more extensions on any driver's licenses or learner's permits. So there used to be, because of COVID and the way things are now, they extended deadlines for 6 months to a year, depending on exactly when it had expired. That is no longer the case moving forward. So if you have a permit, or parents, if you have your driver's license expiring, you'll have to pay the late fee if you don't get it renewed before that. So for the permit, I believe if on the DMV website there is a location you can go saying, I already have I need an adult permit now, right? If you have your 16 or 17, it's a 2-year permit, so you're going to be 18 and over when you get a new one. You will, I believe there is a location where you can put in your permit number, and they already know that this is going to be, you're just coming in for the knowledge test and not to proof of identity or proof of residency or anything like that.
Yeah, so it is a little bit easier, but yeah, that's basically how you would renew your permit. Is you would have to go and just take the knowledge test over again. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do just one more check. Yeah, you don't necessarily need your permit. Someone asked if you need your permit for the class lessons. You don't need it to take the classroom lessons, but again, we always recommend getting it right away, and then as soon as you turn 16, and then that way when you are able to take your driving lessons, you'll already have it, and again, it makes it so you don't have to wait as long to get your license.
When you sign up for classes, you'll have a very good idea of when your eligibility will be. Again, it could change based on the kind of class you take. So as soon as you sign up for classes, try and figure out when you sign up for your test date as well. And then that can always change as it gets closer. Obviously, within 3 days, DMV cements your schedule. But anytime before that, 3 days before your test, if you haven't changed it before then, you're going to accrue a no-show fee or late cancellation fee. So, but if it's coming up and it's a week or two before, you can obviously change your date, but do yourself a favor and at least put it on the calendar or sign up for your test as soon as you figure out the classes that you want to take. And we'll be able to work with you to get those classes in on time and the drives, as long as, again, it works, as long as we have the openings. We are booking out pretty far. Yeah.
All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up from here. If any of your questions didn't get answered, I would suggest, rewatching, because it's going to go right up on our Facebook right after this is done. It's possible that you missed something. If we didn't answer any of your questions, please message us on Facebook, or email info@thenextstreet, and we will be happy to answer any of your questions. Again, this will be, if you missed any of it, it's going to be uploaded immediately onto our Facebook page, and you can rewatch it. I know, and I'm sure everyone's going to want to just watch it over and over again, have it ready for your test, and then and then it'll also be uploaded on our YouTube channel on next Tuesday. So thank you all so much. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really happy that you came on and explained everything. I really hope that everyone's questions were answered, and just again, with your test, take a deep breath. This isn't, I always said, this isn't on the day of your test, it's not the chemistry test that you didn't study for. It's something that you're prepared for, that you've practiced for, you're ready. Just deep breath, do everything we taught you. That's all I can really say. And again, thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah. Thank you, Arthur. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right. And I will be on next week. I'll be doing some fun stuff. We're going to do another careers presentation with some guests from the Next Street and talk about work life here. And then on Friday, I'll be playing some games with my current manager, Shannon. So that'll be really fun. So yeah, again, follow us on Facebook and you'll be getting all these, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just the next street, and then you can get all these uploads the week after. So thank you all so much, and we will see you next week.